Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is April 24th, and right now we're looking at the infrared satellite imagery. You got the Pacific Northwest to the upper right. Parent low here across the Gulf of Alaska, associated trough back down across the Pacific Ocean. A lot of this energy moving into the west coast can be targeting California and Oregon. BC and Washington a bit less, but in the meantime we've got some very warm conditions. You can see the ridge and the sinking air back up and across the region as we speak, and we'll take a look at what is to come as we go through the week next week. So if we take a look at the visible satellite imagery, you can see that marine there along the Oregon coast kind of cuts off right there at the mouth of the Columbia. I mean, there's barely a cloud in the sky across Washington State and a lot of central and southern British Columbia. You can kind of see the showers still across some of the higher terrain of Idaho as we speak as well. Now, taking a look at Seattle, Tacoma, 66 yesterday, probably headed for the 70s today. And for the month, we are below normal in precipitation slightly and above normal temperature-wise slightly. Fairly quiet month here so far. And peak wind gusts, you can also see there, 42 miles per hour. Now, looking at lightning strikes there just towards the Oregon-Nevada border, and you can see we did get that upper elevation thunderstorm activity there across portions of Idaho yesterday. And this is going to be changing, though, over the next couple of days across Oregon, especially. A lot of thunderstorm activity potentially riding back up and across the area. And speaking of lightning detection there, this weather station has a great system with it. Tells you how far the lightning strikes are away from your weather station. Click on that link down below to save 10% off on one of these fun home weather stations. On the Patreon page, if you want, the link is down there to help support the channel as well. So taking a look at where we are right now, you can kind of see that next system, this bowling ball moving down into California, but this is also going to be spreading precipitation, mainly back up across Oregon, not nearly as much for Washington or British Columbia with this system. And then you can kind of see this thing pivot in towards the Intermountain West as we go on into the early portion of next week. And we're probably going to keep things fairly warm here again next week as well. At least some decent weather out there. A little bit of a trough tries to swing through. You see that right there on the day Tuesday. That could bring a little bit of light precipitation here across the region before we warm back up probably again after that. You can see the ridge encroaching from the west there at the end of the run. So if we take a look at the European model, let's scroll through here. And as we go through this afternoon, this activity here could be firing off some thunderstorms as we go through this afternoon, evening, and tonight. Moving up across southwest Oregon, up towards the Oregon coast. Watch out. Thunderstorm activity as we go on in through tomorrow morning. Here we are in through the late morning hours, and you see some of this creeping back up across the Cascades, eastern Oregon, probably under the gun for lightning activity tomorrow. And as we go on into Saturday morning, maybe creeping up towards the Washington border as well. Then pivoting across portions of Idaho and Montana. But look at the slow moving upper level low. It's going to be impacting Oregon, Idaho, and Montana. Not nearly as much for BC or Washington. Then we scroll on in towards next week, and you can see this weak frontal system trying to swing through here on Tuesday, not even bringing that much precipitation with it. And then temperatures probably bouncing back in the wake of that one. So if we take a look at the European model here, this is lightning flash density potential. And look at this as we go through this afternoon and evening. There is that thunderstorm potential across some of the Oregon Cascades, mainly southwest Oregon, and maybe even moving some of these storms out towards the Oregon coastline there as well. Then we go through Saturday, destabilizing a bit again, eastern Oregon, portions of southern Idaho. And then we scroll on in through Saturday afternoon, coming back across the region, eastern Oregon, under the gun one more time. And then this upper level low spinning across the Intermountain West. We'll watch this over the next few days as well and look at some of the high resolution models to see how far this is going to creep off to the west. Spokane getting get thunderstorms here on Sunday, eastern Oregon yet again, maybe Boise out there as well. And we go through Monday, and then finally that system kicks out of here. Now, if we look at the high resolution stuff, composite reflectivity, this is what the Doppler radar may look like here over the next 60 hours. And as we go through the day today, there's that thunderstorm activity, fires off across the higher terrain of California, then moves up into southwest Oregon. You can see some of this coming out over the coastal areas here as well, the Oregon coast. That's pretty late tonight towards, after the evening hours on in through about midnight. And then we go in through Friday morning, additional precipitation, thunderstorms coming up across the area Friday afternoon. Look at that. Some of this interesting stuff towards Bend, moving up across towards Pendleton, towards the Washington border there. Spin in the atmosphere is right over California, continuing to spread showers northward into Oregon. And then again, look at that Saturday thunderstorm activity there yet again, one more time with the slow moving low pressure system locked in place. Now, if we take a look at lightning flash density potential on the high resolution model, this goes out 48 hours. So we're scrolling through the day today. And again, look at that thunderstorm potential. They're coming up across southwest Oregon, maybe out towards the coastal areas. We go through the early morning hours of tomorrow, and then the afternoon hours, we really start to blossom these thunderstorms again, mainly the southern half of Oregon, but those start to creep northward as we go through the evening hours also tomorrow, and then all the way out towards Saturday morning. As I showed you, there's probably going to be another round of thunderstorms on Saturday as well. So wider look at things here. There's that parent low and the associated trough that we saw in the infrared satellite imagery, but a lot of this energy driving down towards California, that's what's bringing that thunderstorm threat. Get that brief cool down here for the weekend for some areas, but then we build another transient ridge with another weak frontal system Tuesday, and then another ridge wants to set up after that. We'll see how that goes. We're starting to look a bit far off into the forecast there, but the Gulf of Alaska troughing may try to get going a bit here, but that may be too far north to impact a lot of Washington and Oregon, maybe more of British Columbia here with some of this setup here, but we'll watch that as we go into the future. So the total precipitation in inches, this is last night's European run, and you can see again Oregon being targeted here for the Pacific Northwest here over the next few days. Not much for Washington. A lot of this activity really cuts off just as it reaches the Washington border, and you can see some of these individual areas are dealing with some pretty good precipitation amounts. Maybe we'll kick off a shower across the Cascades or the higher terrain at BC or maybe the Olympics or something like that, but as you can see, the lion's share of the precipitation here is for Oregon, portions of Idaho, off into, look at this, Montana, Wyoming border. They're getting some pretty good amounts of that one as well. And then we bring that weak frontal system in on Tuesday, just a few hundredths of an inch. I mean, we're not even talking about too much there, but the cloud cover will definitely change things up. A little bit of a change with that system going through, but then we may start to warm up in the wake of that, as I've mentioned a couple of times. So artificial intelligence, let's scroll through here. And again, you can see how Oregon is targeted. Frontal systems try to swing through here. We're now scrolling off, over 180 hours off into the forecast there. It shows Seattle with somewhere around ½ an inch of rain over the next 10 days. Not too bad. Definitely more across western BC, if you believe this. We'll continue to watch this, though, over the next few days as well. And then we scroll off in towards the 15-day time frame, and who knows, take that with a grain of salt. But this is also the 15-day precipitation anomaly. So for this time of year, you can see this is a pretty dry pattern here for the Pacific Northwest in the European artificial intelligence model run as of last night. Now, what a lot of people want to know about, how warm are we going to get today? So it looks like some mid-70s are going to show up across western Washington, southwest BC. Look at that, Bellingham probably up towards 70 degrees. Portland, maybe some upper 70s here, mid-upper 70s, and some nice warm conditions really across much of the region. You can see Boise out there probably getting towards 70, 71 or so as well. Friday, look at that. Again, another very warm day. I mean, look at some of these readings up here. 75 for southwest BC. Feels like summertime, right? Then we go to Saturday. Cool down a bit, but still fairly a nice day here, especially across Washington State. But you'll notice the cooler conditions across Oregon. The upper level low is going to be across California. Much more cloud cover across Oregon versus Washington and British Columbia. And you can see some of the interior values into British Columbia all the way into the mid-70s. We go through Sunday. We drop the temperatures down a little bit there Monday. There's Tuesday, that weak frontal system. And then as we go through next week, looks like we're going to bounce those temperatures back yet again as we go on into the early portion of May. But yeah, I also thought I'd show you the daily 2-meter minimum temperatures in case anybody's out going into the backcountry camping or whatnot. When you get out of the tent in the morning, it's definitely going to be on the chilly side here for tomorrow, Friday or Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So yeah, you still want to dress warm for those morning hours if you are out there across the backcountry camping or whatever, and you're doing an overnight hike or something like that. Yeah, so heads up for that. Now, we looked at this one, artificial intelligence, 6 to 10 day. We got the above normal signal there. I don't know if I believe that one just yet for precipitation outlook. We'll see how that goes. Climate Prediction Center without the mixed bag here across the Pacific Northwest. But otherwise, yeah, get out there and enjoy these days here. This storm system will be firing off those thunderstorms tonight as we go through the afternoon and evening hours. So watch out across southwest Oregon, then over the weekend here, and including tomorrow, for much of Oregon. And we'll look at all the high resolution models tomorrow to see if any of those are going to creep a bit further north. Will they get across the border into Washington State? We'll take a look at that, all that good stuff. And I will talk to you guys then.